Evening, everyone. I look like I'm blurry. I'm out of focus. Hopefully I can get back in focus. How is everyone doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. Preparing for Christmas. It's crazy. This year has gone so fast. We've had a really warm autumn here, so it feels like summer just kind of, it's this nice period of time, and then fall just kind of went by, but it was semi-summer. Hey, Nadia. I'm having a really good, had a good Monday. Oh yeah, sorry. I was like, wait, is it Monday today? No, it's Thursday today. I had a nice Monday. Yes, I did. And I had well, except for that I got a cold from my daughter again. It's been a good week. I feel happy at least, so it's fine. Actually, I didn't have the evening out. It was my fiance. They had a party with her work. She works at a big hotel, so they had like a big festivities. I was home alone with the kids, which was very cozy. It's nice when you're two. It's like a different dynamic, but when you're alone with the kids, they just they behave differently. And usually she's the one who lies in bed with them when they go to sleep. So it's really nice when they snuggle up and they just kind of. My daughter. So I have my son. He's lying kind of like I'm lying and holding my arm around him, and then my daughter wants to hold my hand, so I have to hold. Let me see. I lie like this, so she holds my hand underneath the pillow. And she lies behind, so kind of like sandwiched in between them like this. It's very, very cozy. So it's a bit tough on my neck though, but except for that, it's very nice to to put them to bed like that. But it did feel strange. It's like Monday. I'm supposed to be here. It's I'm so used to it now that it feels like it's ages since we had the meditation now. It's really strange how I'm just so used to having these sessions every evening. Not every evening, twice per week, that when we don't, then it's like a miss. But I don't think there's any more that I'll miss now during the holidays, because they don't kind of collide with Christmas or anything. So we should be good. We'll see. Oh, I'm happy to hear that, Nadia. What about you? Did everyone have a good Monday? Did anything fun happen? Any good meditations? Or any bad meditations? They're probably more useful when they're bad than when they're good. I had a thought about something before, actually, about trust. Because I had a discussion with someone before about how when you practice, there's this, especially when I was a monk, and when you get into spirituality and Buddhism or any kind of practice, there's this idea that you need to do the right thing, and you need to behave in a certain way to basically to be a good person. And there's a lot of people who have a lot of anxiety and worry and fear that they're not doing it right, that they're not good enough, that they are oh my god, I heard a fly. Does that mean am I doing something wrong? What about when I drive the car and I hit all these flies and insects? Does that mean I get bad karma? And they kind of go really deep into that, and they worry about how they interact with other people. We worry about our actions, how they will affect other people, and it can make people go somewhat crazy because they overthink this stuff. They get so into the idea that, oh, what if I do something wrong and I hurt someone and I don't want to, and there's so much distortion towards this. And I had a discussion with someone earlier, just before this sitting, about this. And what it really is, I mean, you could try to be perfect, but it's very difficult to be perfect. There's always going to be mistakes and things are going to happen. And I think the important thing that I said also is that you just need to know that you are true, that you trust yourself. We trust other people. We trust books, we trust other teachers, we trust other things around us, but very few of us trust ourselves, meaning that we trust that we have good intentions and that we have something behind that is good, that wants to lead towards whatever it is that we believe. And I don't want to put a definition on what good is. That's up to you, whatever you feel is good. I mean, I have my own view on what I consider is a good way to move around in the world, but that might not be the same as you. But I have a strong belief that I do my best to move towards that, to be a kind person, to help others, to be a good influence on people around me, especially my children. And yet, sometimes I yell at my kids. Sometimes I'm angry with my kids. It happens. But I have an underlying intention or desire or want for them to be happy and for them to be safe. And we had something happen this morning. We got very tense. And I said to my daughter, kind of like, do you know why Papa is upset about this? It's because I love you, because I don't want anything to happen to you. It's easy to forget about that sometimes when we have things that don't go the way we want them to. But I think it's important to trust ourselves, that we do our best, that we're not going to be perfect, and there's always going to be times when we get overwhelmed or when we don't know what the right thing to do is, especially as a parent. I mean, as a parent, you get caught up in that so many times, like, okay, we're going to tell them not to eat this. And they're like, oh man, was that the right choice? Maybe we should have said we should have taken that because it's not really that important. I mean, who am I to decide like this stuff? I don't even know. But then you just make a decision and you stick with it and you do your best. And you just trust that whatever you have inside of you is enough. And I mean, only you can tell that. I mean, I couldn't tell that, and no one else can tell that. You're the only one who know if you actually have good intentions. And it's something that I don't talk so much about, because I just talk about like the time slices, being aware of what's happening right now, being aware of our senses and enjoying and appreciating our senses. But the other part is trusting yourself, that you believe that you want good for other people. And it's so difficult to say good, kind, because they have interpretations of what that means. But whatever that means to you, meaning that we don't have anger, we don't want to hurt other people emotionally, physically, like we just try to not do harm. I mean, that's the lowest barrier. Just don't do harm to anyone. And then maybe even try to do good towards other people as much as you can, if that is your desire. It's not for me to decide what you should or shouldn't do, but at least don't do harm towards others. And as long as you have that trust that you're not intentionally sabotaging, because I mean, I've seen parents who just, I don't think they're intentionally sabotaging their kids, but from the outside it might look like that. I think they're just so overwhelmed by their own anger and irritation, their frustration, their emotions just completely overwhelm them, so they lose control. The distortions get so strong, so powerful, they're not there. It's not them doing it. And kids do it all the time. Like they'll be fine and then they get upset. And my son this morning, oh my God, I can't remember what it was. It was something I think he wanted an apple cut a specific way, and I cut the pieces in the wrong way. And he just, and he just lay down on two chairs next to the table, and he's like, just screaming and crying. It was like drama. Oh my God, the world has ended. And we kind of laugh at when kids do that, but there's a lot of adults who never learn to handle that, or who believe that's normal behavior because maybe their parents protected them so that they never got a chance to face that part of themselves, and they believe, oh, I can, because they just like, oh, they did that, and they're like, oh, okay, here we go, sorry, oh, I'm so sorry, don't want you to feel bad, like, so we'll just do whatever. And they never got a chance to learn to do that. So yeah, what I wanted to get to with that was that we just need to trust ourselves, that we do our best, and you will fail and you won't be perfect, but have an intention inside to not do harm to others. Just put that as your lowest barrier. Don't intentionally try to mess up your kids or other people around you, or try to do things like, I know, because I mean, I've done this so many times. I know that if I say this, the person I love will feel guilty. So I'm going to say that so they can feel bad about that. And I intend, and it's not like it's unintentional many times. but I want to get a reaction from them. So just look at when you're doing harm to others, and don't make others feel bad. Also, don't put yourself in a situation when you're being used or abused, obviously, but really try to not do harm to others, and then just trust yourself. I see some people wrote something. I get on these tangents, like, because I have these thoughts running around, or like something happened, and then this would be a nice thing to share, and I just try to share it. It's nice for me to get that out, kind of. Let's see. Mats, I only meditated once this week. Basically went straight to sleep after work. Nice. I wish I could go back straight to sleep. Nadia, absolutely. Parenting only ever has to be good enough, and only for 60% of the time. Damn, 60% of the time? That's a high bar, Nadia. I'm not sure if I'm able to do that. I mean, I try, but being a parent is the most difficult thing I've ever experienced so far. Yeah, I used to say that the most difficult thing I did was actually sitting as much as I did when I was monastic, and in a way I guess that probably is the most difficult thing. That was the most gruesome thing I've ever done. This is more difficult to get right, it feels like, because in the meditation you can't really do wrong. You just sit and it leads towards a good direction, whatever you do pretty much. But here, when you're a parent, it feels like the stakes are a little bit higher, and you really don't want that to go wrong. Sue, I have a friend that lives abroad. She had a few hard years, but decided to go on a 2-week retreat to a Buddhist monastery. She assumed she could trust the monks there. She left early. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. There's this thing that just because people are monks, due to misogyny, they had the women cooking and cleaning whilst the men put their feet up. When she challenged it, she was told to hope she comes back as man next time. Oh my goodness. Good evening, my mama. Yeah, that's like a really a culture thing also. In Asia, it's quite common that when my relatives are Sri Lankan, so when they would eat, my uncle and the kids, the boys especially, would sit down and eat, and she would stand behind and just look at them while they're eating. And she'd just be ready if they needed anything. She'd go and she'd fill up their plates. She just went around and filled up their plates. That's just the way it is in that culture. That's kind of normal because that's women's role, kind of. And now as a parent, I'm kind of like, yeah, in a way that would be nice to just, I feed the kids and we don't eat together. Like I feed them and then I can just stand, okay, just you eat, now you go do your stuff. Now I can eat calmly, because it's not calm eating with small kids. But obviously if you're living together with a husband or a wife, then like it's nice if you share the responsibility a bit. But in some cultures, they don't. Now, I thought it was really funny that they said, like, I hope you come back as a man next time. That's pretty crazy. But that's not the only thing. I mean, there's just because someone is a monastic, that doesn't mean that everything they do is with good intention or that everything is pure. I've seen monks who, I mean, there's monks in I think it was Thailand that did human trafficking. They would basically pick up the cute girls in the village, and then they'd have mafia people who just come and kidnap them. Terrible things. But again, like, yeah, this is not a common thing. It's not like that's just the average thing. But it's important to know that just because someone wears the robes or someone has a role, don't just trust them blindly. Like if I sit here and say stuff, like don't just take my word for it. Believe that I have my own intentions. Like I have something I want to share, and I have my own view on what I believe is a good way to practice. I'm assuming if you're here that very likely that aligns with you. Otherwise, I mean, I'm not forcing anyone here, and I'm not giving you money for staying or anything. So it's up to you. But you should really feel like you align and appreciate what they do. And obviously, it was good of your friend to leave if she didn't feel comfortable there, and if her values didn't align with them. Like, don't stay there. But it's very easy to take on the belief that they're higher than me, so I'm going to listen to them. So monks can do bad stuff. I've heard lots of monks who hit on Western girls who get their phone numbers and then start kind of hitting on them on the phone. And I've woken up with I've been in temples with just monks and woken up with semen on my towels. Like there's a lot of weird stuff that happens behind the doors. I don't want to talk bad about it only, but like my point is, just because someone is in a role and you believe them to be a certain way, I think this is a shock that comes to many people who worship the Asian traditions and yoga and meditation, and then they go to India or Asia in general and they say, wait a minute, like these people aren't perfect. Like just like what I thought like this was where everyone was living like they talk, and it's not. So it's important that you trust again. You trust yourself. I mean, your friend Sue, she could have said, oh, I trust them, and this is what people do. They trust the monks more than themselves. And I think, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I hope I get reborn as a man next time. Then I don't have to do the dishes. I mean, if she would take on their beliefs, then that would, I don't usually share stuff like this, but I think it's important to understand that you need to trust yourself more than other people. In other words, don't put your safety or your well-being or your energy just because someone you trust says this is what you should do. I mean, obviously some people might know better than you sometimes, but don't just blindly follow. Just really trust your own. If you have an intention to do good, to appreciate, and to just enjoy life the way it is here, don't let someone else come and ruin that for you and tell them you should do it like this, or you're doing it all wrong and it's terrible and you should be ashamed, or you should start doing what we say here. This is the right. I mean, it is very easy to fall into those kind of traps. So trust yourselves. And I'm happy your friend did so. JVB, Martin, thank you for taking a break from your party and resuming our live stream. Yeah, life is tough as an ex-Buddhist monk. Oh, sorry about that. Partying and having fun all the time. I always remind myself that any spiritual teacher is a human, not a deity. That is so true. And it's also, like I said, it's really, if you let go of distortion and friction towards the world around you, it's very difficult to know what that person would do, because we have certain ideas of what they should do, but we don't know. The only thing we know is that there's not a strong sense of self, meaning that it would be very unlikely for them to use you, abuse you, to take something from you that you don't want to give, and to act in certain ways. Like it just generally makes you behave in a way that's just nice. I mean, it's difficult to be angry, to start fights, because that part is just not there. It's just that most of the people you meet will have so much selfless and the self left, and they're trying to project an image of being perfect, especially in the monastic world, because that's like the whole thing. Like we're trying to portray something because we have the robes, and then you're trying to behave a certain way, but the behavior doesn't come from what's underneath it. It comes from following precepts or following rules or following guidelines or following what we believe is the right way, rather than changing what's behind so that behavior comes naturally, which is what I always say is the main thing. Is like, you don't need to, we can't reverse engineer enlightenment. It doesn't work that way. You need to figure out this stuff in here, and then that will come naturally from whatever you believe is correct. If you believe that the best way to help other people is to support them by mowing their lawn, because you love mowing lawns, that's how you support other people. If you believe the best way to support other people is by donating as much money as you can to charity, then that's what you do. Or maybe your belief in what's the best way to help other people is to give your time to them as a friend, then that's what you do. In other words, we can't know what that is, but if they really are doing this, then generally they will be less likely to use you. But trust yourselves. Okay. For those of you who are new, we usually start with a little chat like this, and then we sit for 20 minutes. I feel my cold is coming back again. Sit for 20 minutes. Sorry, we have a chat for a little while. Then we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, where we focus on our senses, and we will do it quite briefly today. And then after that we sit for 20 minutes and we'll have a question and answer after if you have any questions. The way it's been happening lately is that I just ramble on in the beginning and then people ask questions after. I don't know, don't be afraid of interjecting and asking questions. I really like it when you have questions or bring up things like Sue was saying. Like it's very interesting to hear because it's funny now, but in that situation when you are at a monastery and there are monks there and they tell you this, you will feel, I wouldn't feel that way, but for someone who hasn't lived amongst monks and who have the idea, oh, they're holy, they're special, and I'm coming here to get help, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, am I wrong? Am I right? It's very easy to not trust yourself and to go along with what they say. I'll just give one more short story of how crazy this can get. I had a friend, I traveled with a girl when I was traveling in Asia, and she went to get, I think it was Reiki or some kind of healing or something, and they were in like some tent or something and doing this kuti, or I don't know, when doing this, and then he said like, yeah, you have a lot of sexual tension and regression, and then he just put his fingers in her vagina, and she said she panicked, she didn't know what to do. She's like, she was like, because what he said, like, yeah, I have problems with the partners and trust and all of this. It's like, yeah, maybe it's and she didn't trust herself. She trusted someone else who did something that was not okay. It's not okay to do that in that situation. It's very easy to be used when you're in a position of power. So, yeah, enough talking about that. We're going to start with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. And what that is that we focus on 5 things we can see, 4 things we can touch, 3 things that we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And we do this to be aware of our senses without having an evaluation or a sense of pressure towards the things around us. We just observe them through our senses. And at the same time, we lean towards enjoyment and appreciation. The difference between this and mindfulness is that in mindfulness, you are aware of your surroundings and you don't judge them. That's basically the definition of mindfulness. Be aware of your surroundings and don't judge them. There's another part that we add to that, which is that be aware of your senses, not just your surroundings where you're at, but actually what you're experiencing. And don't judge them, just feel what you're feeling. And then the last part is that we lean into this enjoyment, feeling that it's enjoyable to see things. The world is beautiful. This thing is just as beautiful as a sunrise, a sunset, as a newborn child, if you know how to look at it without you being there. It's just that that's very difficult to do, and we tend to have glimpses of that, but we're practicing to learn to see this more as a sunset or a sunrise. So, yeah, 5 things we can see. Say them out loud if you can. I see a computer fan. And look for the texture, the shadows, the dust on the fan, and the text. Just look and see what it looks like. I can see a glowing globe. I see electrical cables. And I see light shining through a metal mesh. I can see you. 5 things that I could see. That would take 4 things that we can feel. I can feel my throat getting very sore. And there's kind of a scraping feeling in the back. I can feel, this is a little bit hard. This side has like perforated feeling. This is more sharp. really be curious. Like have the sense of think of a child. Like how does a child, if you have children or if you're around kids, see how they view things. They will take this one and they will do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. They look at it, they're like, whoa, what's all this? Oh, look at this. There's like text here, and they go like this. And then they'll go up and they'll feel it, and they're like, oh, this feels interesting. And there's this texture here. And they'll smell it, they'll listen to it, and then they'll taste it. No, it doesn't really taste very good. They basically do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method all day long. Where was I? I was feeling stuff, right? Yeah, this one. I can feel my trusty old sofa. Feel the pressure from it, feel it when it's soft, when it's hard, whatever it feels like. And try to have the being like childish. Like there's a sense of joy to it when you're experiencing. A child wouldn't just go like, oh yes, I'm feeling the sensations and I'm observing them and I'm being aware, I'm mindful, I'm not judging them. This is just me and I'm not here, I'm just... No, child will go like, whoa, boy, that's pretty cool. Ow, that hurts. I wonder how long I can do that before it scrapes like really hard. Like they're just curious about the world. So that's what we're aiming for, without having the mind of a child. I mean, you're still an adult, meaning that you don't need to taste poop. A kid might do that because like, I wonder what that tastes like, but you still have the sensibilities and the experiences of being adults. You don't need to do dumb stuff like that. Unless you really, really need to do it. I mean, then just by all means do it. If you feel like that's going to save the world, yeah, who am I to tell you what to do? We're going to listen for stuff. 3 things that we can hear. I hear the wind outside. And when you're listening, it's easy to say, oh, I hear the wind, but listen to the wind. Hear how it goes. It's not the same the whole time. We're trying to be engaged with reality. We're more engaged with our story. Most people will go around, they have an idea, I'm going there, and they like in their mind there is, I'm going to get there. But they're completely oblivious to what they're passing through, what they're feeling, what they're hearing. So we're trying to be engaged with our senses. Again, think of a child. I hear a fan on one of the lamps above me. I think I hear rain? Or what is that? Maybe a drizzle? 3 things that I can hear. Don't take it seriously. In other words, it's so easy when you start meditating, and especially in Buddhism, because especially in Theravadan Buddhism, where they have this idea that it needs to be very proper, very special. What we're doing here is very serious. That's kind of the wrong approach for doing what we're trying to do here. That's the whole mindfulness. Be aware of your surroundings and don't judge. That's not what, I mean, that's a lot of judgment in that kind of behavior anyway. It's funny how everyone has their own way of saying. I had this, yeah, sorry, I'm not going to go into that, but there's all different meditation centers have their way of saying saying how someone is an idiot without saying they're an idiot. They're so ignorant. They're so ignorant. They're so unaware. They're really not noticing their environment. Oh my goodness. Oh, did you see him? He just picked up and ate that fruit without even being mindful about it. Oh my God, what an idiot. but we don't say that. No, we call them other words. Let me see. So don't be too serious. Don't take all of this too seriously. You're supposed to do this to enjoy life more, to appreciate your life experience more. And seriousness is pretty much the opposite of that. Doesn't mean you can't be serious when you're interacting with someone, or that you have to act like a fool or an idiot all the time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying take life a little bit more lightly. Like right now, I'm supposed to kind of be some kind of meditation teacher, and I can't even count from 5 to 1. I think we did hearing. Yes, we did. So smell. Smell. What do we smell? Washing detergent. I can smell washing detergent. There's a smell of having a cold has a special smell. Yeah. Finally, we do one thing that we can taste. There's this taste when you have a cold, like there's snot going from the nasal cavity down, kind of, and it tastes a bit not so nice. Yeah. If you want to, feel free to continue the meditation, or I recommend you to look around you and look at one of the things you did before when we did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, and see if it looks different. Try feeling one of the things you felt before and feel, does it feel different? Try listening, try smelling, and try tasting, and see if it feels different than it did before. See, Mindful Mama is saying, I had similar experiences in India. So I expected that they would live a certain way in the ashram I was in to do yoga teacher training, but they were actually exploiting their staff. Good lessons for me that we can't just assume, but also I really had to learn to trust again, because I believe that there was really a better way out there, that there was a place where people would really live pure in the sense of practicing what they preach in yoga. And when I experienced this, I lost hope in humanity. So I hope your friend learns to see the good in people somewhere else again. Oh, that sounds really sad, Mindful Mama. I hope you found your hope in humanity again. I think you have. Let's see, JVB. Oh yeah, thank you for the partying. Martin, what I like about you is that you're not a pompous guru. I've noticed that there are millennial spiritual YouTubers who are pompous in their teachings. They really just want fame and girls. I joke about this with my fiance sometimes. I said, God damn it, I wish I was like, I wish I had no morals. Can you imagine how many girls I could get? Like how much money I could make if I would just like go out. I can do the guru thing. It's just like, I mean, I can't do it, but I could fake it. And I see so many people doing that, but it's just like, it seems ridiculous to me. And it's a bit like, I was trying to come up with expressions for this. Not this specifically, but for meditating when you want a specific outcome, as in I meditate because I want to get rich, or I meditate because I want to attract a new lover or something. And what I came up with was something along the lines of, it's like learning to sing because you want to be rich by being a rock star, or learning to play an instrument because you want to become famous. I mean, it's not that you couldn't become rich and famous if you learn to play the guitar or sing, but that's not really the best way to go about it. You play the instrument because you enjoy playing the instrument. You sing because it's an incredible experience to sing. And then if it happens, it might be that you get famous and earn lots of money also. But people today tend to try to do it the other way around. They see it as like, I want to get here, so I'm going to do that. And then being a pompous guru is just one of the ways that you can do that. Hey Stephen, nice to see you. Jack, good evening. Have you cut your Christmas tree yet? No, I haven't. We have friends who have forests, like huge forests here. So we've actually been there and cut down our own Christmas tree. But we don't have place for it right now, unfortunately. So we don't have one this year. We have a plastic one. Mindful Mama, I did. Yeah, she found back her hope in humanity. Thank you, Mindful Mama says so. But it was a big thing for a while. It is. Like, there's so many people who place so much trust and faith in other people or other ideas because they get tired of the way we live here in the West. And they think there has to be a better way. There has to be another way that we can interact with other people, or that we can live in the world. And so they see these ancient Asian traditions that they believe, well, they live it purely, they live it differently. But you kind of have to go there to see that it's just so different from what we expect. And what we get is a very different version of that we see here in the West, compared to if you actually go to India or Sri Lanka or Burma or Malaysia or any of the other places. Well, maybe not Malaysia, even though there are many Buddhist temples there. It's quite different from what it's like over there. And it's easy to believe that if I would just get there, then it would be perfect. But they have very different ways of viewing how things should be, and we also get into the culture shock. And I remember reading a really good book about the history of Buddhism, where they discussed how in the time of the Buddha, or in India specifically, like, if someone was a king, they couldn't just be a king. No, they were like, they talked to animals, and they were a lion, like they could transform into a lion, or they had special powers. Like, no one who was important could just be a king or just be a normal person who talked. Like, no, you had to add attributes that made them superhuman. And then they kind of put that into Buddhism, or put that into the text. And so we have to take everything with a bit of grain of salt and see, like, do you really believe this happened? If you're Christian and believe in the Bible, do you really believe that, I can't remember who it was, but someone was eaten by a whale and lived in the whale for 3 days? Like, do you believe that happened? I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but like, is that... Actually, I don't think that is possible. No, I don't think that would work. Unless we're talking about miracles. So if you believe in miracles, then yes, then it would be possible. But otherwise, I'd have to say that no, that's probably not true. There's probably a different moral to the story that they're trying to tell by telling the story. But then we take that and believe, oh, it's literal. Like, instead of seeing that they're doing that to emphasize, to try to prove, to teach a point, to teach us something that's important. But since we tend to take all these things too literally, then that creates problems. Mindful Mama, many people use a Christmas tree with its root left at Jack, so we don't need to kill the tree just for having it for 3 weeks and decorate it. Yeah, it's a thing. They cut up the trees and you can have it and then you give it back. Danovnche. That's an interesting name. Nice to have you here. Hi Martin, I'm going to be in Asia next year and I'd like to do a longer meditation retreat, a few weeks. Do you have any tips on how to find a retreat that's a bit more casual? I'm still a beginner, so I don't think 10 hours of meditating per day would work for me. I would recommend you, actually what I recommend everyone who wants to get serious about meditation, is to look up Vipassana Goenka. They have 10-day retreats and they meditate. I think it's 10 hours per day. I don't remember now. I think it's 10 hours per day. And it's super accessible because they exist all over the world. It's voluntary. Donation based, so there's no fixed fee. It can be whatever you can afford to pay. And they kind of take care of everything. You basically, I call it it's like going to Disney World, or it's like a roller coaster. You go there, everyone's excited, and you give away your phones, and they don't know what's going to happen, and they're like, oh, it's going to be exciting, and then you go and you listen to this, and you just shut off from the rest of society, and you practice a very specific way of meditating for 10 days, and very tough in the beginning, but then it'll change how you view meditation. And you can do that as a beginner. It might seem tough. And I mean, it is tough. I used to go there. I call it a vacation because it's just so easy. You go there, there's food. You don't have to do anything. You don't need to talk to anyone. Usually very clean and proper centers with a little bit higher standards than many of the centers I went to. So I saw them kind of as vacation. I think I stopped counting at 25, so I don't actually know how many I went to, but quite a few. And they're very easy to follow along with, and I consider them easy to do. So it's a great way to get started and see what it's like. That's the first thing I'd recommend. The problem is that the centers I hung around with was usually Burmese centers that have a strict tradition of sitting a lot and walking a lot, meaning plus 10 hours at least. I've been told off by a monk who said that literally, like, I was feeling sick and I think I was taking antibiotics because it was quite bad. And he said to me basically that if you're and he asked me how long do you sit, and I said I'm just sitting 8 hours per day now, and he's like, But if you're not going to be serious, you should leave. You shouldn't stay here and take up the space that someone else could come and use this time to be here. But if you're just going to fool around and just meditate 8 hours per day, then you can leave. So there's many different ideas of what one should do. So going to a retreat, then usually it's more intensive. Otherwise, there are smaller centers that have more ongoing open places. I stayed a lot at a place called Nilambe in Sri Lanka, which is a beautiful place up on a mountain hill, like way up high. And they used to have so you could stay there long term. I know they changed it. They had courses and there was like a lot of stuff. I don't know what it's like now. But there are smaller centers throughout where you can go, and it's not so intensive. I think they probably in Nilambe. Could I had 5 hours per day? I'm just pulling out of my I don't remember. But there are centers. I would simply Google meditation for the area you want to go and see what comes up. And then it should feel right. If you don't feel comfortable sitting like that, I mean, that's just one way of doing it, sitting that much. There can be lots of benefit from sitting in other ways. So try and look for something that works for you, that you feel like, okay, I'm comfortable here. This is something I could commit to, and I would fit in here. There's many places who have more focus also on the mindfulness aspect, where you do gardening and stuff like that. JVB, however, Martin, if you do end up getting more income out of your YouTube, I don't blame you, and I don't want to discourage you from gaining a living. Just don't become an a-hole. I would have no problem becoming a millionaire doing this. That would be amazing, because then I could work with this full time. Even though I think the odds of me becoming a millionaire doing this are quite unlikely. But I would love to be able to do this more as a job, like putting more time into it. And I'm doing things to move towards a direction where I can actually earn some money from it also. If people want to, there will always be free stuff like this. So it's not like I'm going to put a paywall and no one can get access to me and talk to me unless they pay. I don't believe in that. But there are many different ways people can work with me. We can do it like this, but then you can also have one-on-one conversations. I'll have courses, and I'll have other like meditation retreats. So yeah, I'm very open for different ways of doing this. There's a strange thing about spirituality. People believe that if it's spiritual, you cannot charge money for it because then it's not pure. It's a really weird belief. Like, so it's okay to work as a prostitute or to work as a lawyer, God forbid, or a politician. That's okay, earning money. But if you do something that helps people, then you cannot make money. That just never really made sense to me. Let's see, where was I? There. Mindful Mama, I didn't know, but nowadays you can even rent a tree. Oh yeah, we were talking about Christmas trees. Like, what? You're gonna sleep in a tree? Like that? Mindful Mama is crazy. Sorry for the sidetrack. Yeah, I see now. Sue, Joe was in Australia. I wish I could have been there just to give her a hug. Yeah. She phoned me I was having a crisis, so I rang someone to and help her. She's doing better now, but it's going to be slow. Yeah. That's the shame also when like people place themselves in other people's hands, because many times they're hurt, they're broken. And I've seen this so many times, especially young girls who go to Asia and India. They come and they're young, they're beautiful, and they're blonde, which in Asia is basically like, and they dress in a way that they call it Western porn. That's a term they say when young Western girls come and walk around, because for them it's like porn. In Sri Lanka, when the women bathe, they wear saris and sarongs, like they cover themselves up, and then someone goes off in a skimpy bikini. It's like porn for them. So even if they're living in a temple or in a ashram, when you go there, it's very easy to be used and abused. So you need to be careful with where you go, and also it should be. I mean, I find that hilarious that they told her that if she's lucky, she can be reborn as a man. As I said, now when we're talking about it now, it sounds crazy. And we're like, what's up with them? But in the situation when you're there, when you're in a position of being vulnerable and maybe not feeling well and you're having a crisis, like, it's not okay. Definitely not okay. Mats, I'm heading to bed now. Have a good night, everyone. Good night, Mats. Yeah, my throat is giving up. I should go to bed also. I'm just going to finish these. Thanks for the meditation, as always, of course. Nice having you here, Mats. Mindful Mama, good night. I'm going to bed too. Early morning tomorrow. Thank you for tonight. Jack, my favorite writer, wrote once how a true master was asked once how to achieve enlightenment, and he just answered, we dress up, we eat. If anyone is seeking something more in meditation, there it is. It's a nice saying. Sue, it would be great for you to do an online retreat. Thank you. I will do that next year for sure. JVB, Martin, don't insult my political profession. Oh, you're in politics. Nice. I'm sure you're a good politician. Everyone, thank you for tonight. As always, it's a pleasure, and I wish you a very pleasant weekend. And we'll see each other on Monday, which I believe is the day before Christmas Eve, which we celebrate here in Sweden. We don't celebrate Christmas Day. So have a great weekend, and I hope to see you the day before Christmas Eve.